We've all seen how plastic can pollute our communities and our environment, but how many are aware of the scale to which plastic can even pollute our bodies? How many here have considered that they may actually have particles of microplastics within their bodies at this very moment, and that those microplastics can have potentially serious consequences to our health? Recent studies have even found microplastics in the placenta of unborn babies, raising the questions of what this could mean for the health of future generations. The implications of widespread microplastics pollution are potentially frightening, and scientific research into the issue is still in its infancy. It's common knowledge that plastics are not biodegradable and that they don't decompose in the environment. But what is perhaps less well known is that instead of biodegrading, plastics simply break down into smaller and smaller pieces, becoming what are known as microplastics. Now, plastic pollution has become so widespread over the past century that rainwater and even the air that we breathe have been shown to contain particles of microplastics. A study published on June 12, 2020 in Science magazine, one of the world's top academic journals, showed that 98% of air and rainwater samples tested in the study contained particles of microplastics. Now, these particles can become so small that they can even enter into the bloodstream. In fact, a study published in March of 2022 in Environment International, a peer-reviewed scientific journal, showed that about 77% of the people tested in that study were shown to have microplastics in their blood. Relatively little research has been done into how these microplastics may impact human health. Well, what is known so far is that exposure to microplastics can disrupt the body's hormones and possibly have numerous other toxic effects on the body. Now, while microplastics pollution is a massive problem today, it doesn't always have to be this way. This is where the nonprofit organization Plastic Soup Foundation comes in. Plastic Soup Foundation emphasizes the link between plastic pollution and human health. The organization focuses on education on the issue as well as dedicated campaigns designed to influence the industry and government policy in order to address the problem at its source. Cleanup and recycling operations are only a part of the solution to microplastics. The production of non-essential or unnecessary plastic products must itself be addressed by the global community if we're to get a handle on the situation. A letter written by a team of international scientists published April 27th, 2022, again in Science magazine, concurs with this assessment that production of new, unnecessary plastic products must be severely curtailed in the future if plastic pollution is to be addressed seriously. Now, some may say that we can't affect the choices made by major industry, that if they want to use plastic because it's so cheap to produce, then there's nothing the public can do about it. But we shouldn't underestimate the power that we have as consumers of their products, nor should we underestimate the power that the public has to shift the culture around plastic usage. If enough people demand alternatives to plastic in the products that they buy, and our cultural attitudes around plastic shift, industry will listen and begin to look towards viable alternatives to plastic for use in sectors where plastic is not strictly necessary. This will be no easy task and it won't happen overnight, but the potential rewards are immeasurable. Imagine if we were able to develop and produce alternatives to plastic for the vast majority of our everyday products. Picture how many plastic containers and other items you could then avoid using on a daily basis, and also avoiding those plastics inevitably becoming microplastics that pollute our environment and our bodies. You can enjoy all the same products you do now, but reassured by the knowledge that those plastic products are not eventually becoming harmful to the health of humans all over the planet. Big changes are needed to the way we utilize plastics in our daily lives, but big changes often start small. There's a lot we can do to mitigate the negative impacts of microplastics pollution, but we must begin to address the problem now. I strongly urge you to educate yourself more about microplastics pollution, you can visit the Plastic Soup Foundation website to learn more about the issue and what can be done about it. Education can help us focus our collective efforts in order to address this global problem. Education can also help us make better decisions as individuals in order to limit our personal exposure to microplastics. Any positive change that we can make now will reverberate into the future, but we cannot wait for this problem to solve itself. We all must be part of the solution now. The health of not only ourselves, but of our children and all future generations depends upon it. Those generations need us to care about this now. Thank you all for your time and for your attention on this issue today.